Hello, Norwood superstars. Let's get cracking with the first Norwood News newsletter edition for the new year of 2022. This is for Thursday, January 13th for Norwood Elementary School with Baltimore County Public Schools. Now, we normally have two newsletters per month in the first Thursday and the third Thursday of the month. But because of all the delays and closures and changes to the schedule right off the bat as we started the new year, calendar year, we decided to just have one more robust newsletter in the middle of the month. So we will go back to doing that in February onwards, but for January, we're just going to have this one. So we're sorry about that. Means that we're only going to have one unit resource, which is going to be for math, not for ELA, for reading and writing. But nonetheless, do not worry if you need to refer back to this in pieces or jump around the things that you don't know about and skip the ones that you do. That is totally fine. So let's get started with the upcoming dates. Monday, January 17th is going to be Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday, which all BCPS schools will be closed for. Friday, January 21st is a Makeup Picture Day. If your child was absent and missed a December date, or if there was a problem with your order, you can redo your pictures or take your pictures on this day. Now, if you had a problem with your order and you liked the picture, there is a way through the proof that they sent you to follow the instructions and then just order correctly more pictures, or if you just need to get them for the first time but they have them on record, that's fine. We've had a few issues with some people's orders, and so just follow the instructions, or we'll talk about that in a moment when it comes to pictures. And that same day on Friday, January 21st is now the halfway point of the school year. It's the end of the second marking period. So all BCPS schools will close 3 hours early that day. Now, remember our callback section for the newsletter where we refer back to previous newsletters that have a lot of information that are very helpful or specific things. So going back, the most recently, December 21st, there was a lot of COVID vaccine information for children and adults. If you were interested in getting vaccinated, especially for those that are approved now for 5 to 11 years old, you're going to want to refer back to December 21st newsletter because there is a lot of information in there, and it goes for adults, it goes for children, and it gives you the links either by the CDC tool where you can find places you can go, or the Baltimore County government and the health center that's been offering different locations for free of charge. So if you still want to look at that information should be updating. So you just got to follow those instructions and see the new updated information and dates that they have for places that they are doing vaccinations for. On December 2nd, there was information about where to check for school closures and early dismissals. So now that we're into winter, we've already had our dose of days off due to snow and changing weather and different circumstances. You're going to want to watch that if you're still maybe new to the county or not familiar about where you go check, so you don't have to flood the school with calls. We are doing our best we can with the reduced staff. We're doing everything we can. We appreciate your patience, but it would help if you could look and refer back to some things on your own so that way you don't even have to call the school. December 21st was something that we updated about student contacts. So emergency contacts, if you want to change who can pick up your child, that's still an ongoing thing. And if you want to refresh your memory about how to do that or what you have to do, there's a manual process to do it that makes it pretty straightforward. So refer back to that one. And for October 8th, there was a discussion about the absentee note policy, and there was even a template in English and Spanish. So you don't have to write an actual note. You can just fill in some information on something that's mostly filled out for you. For all the days that you can recall that your child was out, maybe sick for something else that was not mandated by school, you can go back and do that later. It doesn't have to be right away. It's easier when it's right away, but that's something that you can do to reduce unexcused absences. So definitely reach out if you need assistance with that. But that is there waiting for you in that October 8th newsletter. So started talking with the Picture Makeup Day and the student picture distribution. We have already been distributing via the yellow take-home folders from your homeroom teacher all the pictures that came in because they did come in recently. So if you got a prints order and you did not receive them, check your student's book bag, check their yellow folder, turn them upside down and shake them around. No, I'm just kidding. But in all honesty, just ask and let us know because we want to make sure you get your pictures. Like I said, there were a few that had some issues. So if you have to redo them, that's fine. You can. But if you want to keep the proof and to use that picture, you like the picture, you just need to fix what happened with your payment information, or there was missing information on the envelope, then you can opt to just buy online those pictures and just do it correctly. So there's a video down here that explains to you exactly how to do it. Just click on the video or the link as we concluded in the description of this video, and you will have something that explains to you exactly how to do it, so there's no question and no issues. We have new envelopes that are waiting here where you can take if you want to use them, but you don't necessarily need them because all the information is right here. Here's the website and where you go, and there's the picture ID for Makeup Picture Day. Now, this ID is new. It's not from December. So if you try redoing using the December code, it's not going to work. So make sure you use this information or you pick up a new envelope. And anyone who did orders for December that couldn't fulfill them because their child was absent, it automatically rolls over. You don't have to do anything. So you're going to be fine there. Only those who didn't get pictures taken are eligible for doing the makeup day. If you took it and you like it, you're good. You don't need to do anything. If you want to order more, there's a process on what you can do. So you have to look at the proof. If you only received one picture and you didn't buy anything, everyone receives a proof, a sample. And it has instructions on what to do if you want to actually order them, if you've changed your mind, or if you want to order more things than what you got. So you just follow the instructions because they're going to have a unique portrait ID. A portrait ID is the code that when you have a proof in front of you, you put that in. So you basically follow the instructions on the YouTube video, but you're putting in a portrait ID and it has a corresponding access code too. So that's going to be personalized to every picture. So definitely make sure you look at that when you're deciding if you want to change your mind and get pictures after all, which are not mandatory, or if you want to add more to what your original order was. All the information is explained and correct in the video. So talking about now our coffee and conversation for January. It's going to be done on Wednesday, January 26th from 12 to 1 p.m. with our counselor, Miss Powell. She's coming back to host another coffee and conversation to talk about the growth mindset. If you don't know what that means, a growth mindset compared to a fixed mindset, just look at these pictures and you can get a sense from the comparing and contrasting of what a fixed versus growth mindset does when it encounters different situations or difficulty. Now, there's going to be a giveaway for all those who attend, so make sure that you show up. But it's going to be virtual. It's still not in person, so we appreciate your patience. Just log in via Google Meet using your children's credentials, your child's credentials, and the meeting code is going to be Norwood Families. Now, we sent some information in December about the Gray Charles Threshers Baseball Winter Camp, and the flyer had some mistakes in it. So we apologize if anybody did try to email the email that was mentioned in there. So there's some new information because of all the days off and everything. They've also had to slide and adjust some of their schedule. So they're going to be starting now January 16th, running every Sunday in January and February from 12 to 2 p.m. for students ages 3 to 15 years old. It's still only $45. They're still looking for people who want to play. And since it's indoors, you got to wear cleats. Do not wear cleats. The opposite of what I just said. Do not wear cleats and damage the flooring. Because this is going to be indoors in gyms in a facility that doesn't necessarily have a nice AstroTurf or something that you could or may damage. So nonetheless, if you have any questions or you're interested, just send an email to gcthreshers2020@gmail.com. The email has been updated here, and just ask for more information. And if you've played with any Gray Threshers baseball camp, either in the spring or the winter, you're good when it comes to the birth certificate requirement. But if you haven't participated in this before at all in any season, you're going to need to either electronically send that to someone, a scan or a picture, or by the first game you can drop off and turn in a copy. So they will need to see that. And that is basically it when it comes to that. So if you're looking for something fun for your kids to do that's active during the winter and they're not out freezing in the cold, that's a very good low budget, cost efficient option for you all. Now, not everyone has a child or family member with autism, but I just wanted to share this information because there are a lot of partners for schools that aren't necessarily BCPS affiliated, and this is one of them. They do great things and they provide resources and support groups, and so we still want to make you aware of them as well, even though they're not affiliated with the schools directly. So just like ADHD, the attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, there's been a lot that's come around and been learned in recent years when it comes to spectrum disorders and autism. Even just the term Asperger's is going away. That's something that is now being absorbed by the autism disorder, essentially, in terms of the symptoms and what we know about it. So since so much keeps evolving, we would just want to make you aware that for those of you that either are suspecting or maybe have family members or a child that is diagnosed with autism or something on spectrum, this could be very useful to you. And some of these resources and events can even apply to you even if you don't have a child with a diagnosis. Whether you suspect or don't suspect or have nothing to do with that, some of them may be open to the general public where you could just learn a lot of important information. So if you know somebody who could benefit from this or you yourself are interested, check out Pathfinders to Autism. It's an organization that offers a lot of good support and information, and they partner with different groups, including schools at times. For example, they have an upcoming January 19th informational workshop that's titled "My Child Was Just Diagnosed with Autism, Now What?" So for those of you who have been told either by school or medically by your pediatrician that your child does have autism, it's overwhelming to know what the next step is. Like, what do you do with that? And to what degree? Because it could be very high functioning and mild, or it could be very severe and something that maybe you saw coming. So either way, that would be a very good thing to visit. And you can click on these pictures and you can see larger versions of the pictures that explain information. For example, there's a calendar of events for the website, but if you go to the website and go to the right under calendar, web calendar events, under the events menu and then information calendar, this will have the current month, and it will tell you all these different seminars and things that they have going on. So very worthwhile to check out. When it comes to COVID-19 tests, we talked about this in December, and they continue to be available to all Baltimore County health centers for pickup between 9 and 4 p.m. as long as they're available. If they fly off the shelves like hotcakes by like 10 o'clock, then that's just how it is. So it's best that you call and you see what the availability is if possible. If not, get there extremely early and just try to do your best, because I know these are in high demand with the increasing cases due to the Omicron variant. We understand the anxiety and what's going on. Getting tested is getting increasingly difficult because of the lines and the demand. So you can get test kits if you can from those locations, and we're going to provide these links again here on the locations to which you can go when it comes to the different health centers from the Baltimore County government, or the Baltimore County Library System is going to post on their Facebook page or their Twitter page when they have a batch to give out too. So that could be another place that you could pick up some test kits from. If you're interested in picking up as needed and from any of the health centers and want to know where they are, you can click on this other link that basically shows you a list of all the health centers in the county. But the two that are closest to us are the ones that I've listed here, the Dundalk Health Center and the Eastern Family Resource Center. So you can always give them a call and find out the status if they still have any to give and rush over there. We understand that they're in very high demand, and it's very useful to have one just in case you need to rely on it. Now, January math overviews for families. So this is going to be the math overview for just this month, and it's by grade level, both in English and Spanish. So again, this is an exception. Normally we would later in the second newsletter of the month have ELA for English language arts, but we are only going to have math for this month. So just click on the corresponding grade for your child, and here's an example of what one looks like. Basically, they're talking a lot about geometries and shapes and how to use that in different mathematical operations. We haven't talked in a little while about these meetings. If you were here last year, you may recall the Southeast Area Education Advisory Council meetings. Basically, the Southeast Specific Area Education Advisory Council is just one of 5 regional counselors that are appointed by the Board of Ed, and they are meant to get input from the respective area and community and then send that up to the Board of Ed during the Board of Ed meetings. So if you have a tough time getting or making those Board of Ed meetings, but you still want to be heard, you can go to these meetings because they will still relay that information, and it might be even easier to actually share what you think and or just be involved in these different discussions. The next one's going to be talking about magnet programs, all about magnet programs, what they are, where they're offered, how you apply. There's usually a handful of questions we get about them every now and then because they're for all levels of school. They're for elementary, middle, and high school, but they have a specific application process. You can't just do it. You have to apply and make it. And some of them are based on different criteria, like some might be a lottery and some might actually have merits, the student grades that are involved. Depends on the level of education. So the meeting is going to be held through Zoom. All of these meetings have a different topic, and here's all the information. So whether you have the Zoom app on your phone or you're going through a computer and just going to click on the link and choose to use the free web version, where you don't have to install it, that's fine too. It's Zoom. It's not Google Meet. But all the information is here. And here's also the corresponding flyer, which also previews you that the next month's meeting is going to be held at a specific school location, and it's going to be talking about community schools. There's a lot of terms being thrown around. One of them is community schools, and maybe you think you know what that means, but it's actually useful to know what that really does mean because it actually affects a lot what the school can offer to the families and community. So check that out. But for now, the next one is about magnet programs. We're doing another CCBC Family Literacy ESOL program messaging campaign because this is really helpful for those of you, or if you know somebody who English is not their first language, and if they need some help with English, this is a good free way to get them that help. And not only that, but it offers them English that's very specific to help them be more successful and involved with their child's academics. So there's a spring term, because we had previously talked about a winter term, but the spring term is going to be coming up. So that's why the dates are a little bit different when you click on this flyer. It tells you that it's for spring, and it has different dates for these local areas that you can go to sign up in person. You have to go in person and register in person. Set aside a few hours because they're going to do a baseline test on your English. It may take you a little while, or you may breeze through it, depends. And then when you're done, on the last day, they'll do the same thing to see how you've changed. So you got to set aside some time for registration. But there's, I think, approximately 20 sessions, and they really do work to help you. So we've had some families actually go through this, and they really enjoyed what they got out of it. And finally, a message from our school nurse. Now, Nurse Debbie understands with the rising anxiety about COVID-19 cases and the surges, and some schools are going virtual and some are not. We understand there's a lot to be worried about. First and foremost, we will advise the family and the community if we are for any reason going virtual. That's what these previous days that were off on Monday and Tuesday on the 10th and the 11th, that's what they were for. So they were to help in case that actually has to happen to make that transition seamless. And it's going to be temporary. It's not going to be indefinitely, most likely, but we will keep everyone updated. But what she wants to let everyone know is that first, just like before, if your child has shown any symptoms of illness, they need to stay home. It's no longer about specific symptoms. This latest variant is very contagious. And it spreads so easily that we just need your child to stay home for any sign of illness that is not their normal maybe congestion due to allergies or seasonal changes. It has to be, you would know as a parent what is different. And so when they're doing anything different when it comes to illness, please keep them home and call the nurse. You can call the nurse directly at this number, the 443-809-6029, and find out when they can return. What's the soonest? Because depending on the situation, there may be different options. If you get tested, if you don't get tested, or if you can't get tested, we understand. So there's different scenarios. So you definitely want to be aware what your options are. COVID-19 tests should not be taken right away. If your child is asymptomatic and you know they were in contact or maskless with another student or adult who has it, or you find out it's diagnosed, I would strongly recommend, and so does Nurse Debbie, against getting them tested right then and there, because it takes some time for the virus to be detected correctly. So you may get a false negative. You don't want to have a false negative and think that your child is negative, and then you send them back to school, or you send them in places with family and people that they could just be spreading it to asymptomatically. That does happen. So please be aware that they have to wait a few days, usually 1 or 2 days of illness, once they start showing any symptoms of being sick. But to know exactly when, depending on contact and when it happened and what, you can call the nurse. You can call the school, you can call the nurse, and they will help you out. Now, children in general should just be drinking plenty of fluids, staying hydrated, eating and sleeping well, all those normal things to keep their defenses strong. The moment your children are staying up too late, playing video games and not eating or sleeping well, or just off their game, that's not going to help, and it's going to make them more prone to getting sick, even if it's not COVID-19. Also, exercise is great, so you don't have to keep them stuck inside. It's good to send them out and have them be active. That's no problem with that. Now, there are lots of jackets and hoodies in the Lost and Found that it's located in the health suite. So if you have students that have lost things, it could very well be at the school. And second of all, check with the nurse, because we have other donated and cleaned and new items that we could use for students if they are missing any winter apparel. We know it's been really cold lately, so we want to help you out whenever possible. That was a lot. So I'm sorry for the amount of time that it takes to explain everything, but we appreciate your patience and your continued patience with all the changes and everything that's going on with the personnel. I know it's been a very tough time, even just right after the break. So we hope everyone had a fantastic break. Looking forward to a new calendar year, new things. Let's hope for the best. And as always, keep on learning, everyone. Thank you.